I've
Yeah.
never had that. I haven't had to hold up with various things.
Yeah.
And with that, we are live. A discussion about types.
Important
Welcome
things.
to Glossop Improv Conversations. I have some wonderful improvisers with me that are here to talk about their origins and their inspirations when it comes to improv. But we would really love to have questions from you, our audience. So I will be monitoring the Facebook chat as best I can. I'm not very good at tech things, just going to put that out there. But I will now hand over to our wonderful guests to introduce themselves. We will start with Sarah.
Hi, my name is Sarah Davies and I'm based in Kent in the UK. I'm a drama lecturer and a producer by trade. And I do all of the improv in the world.
All of it.
That's me, all of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to do more.
Fantastic, yes. And we will go to Mart next, please.
Hi, I'm Martin Gordon. I run an organisation where we essentially try and take fun and games into organisations to help them with creative facilitation, really. I've always been chasing the idea, so where ideas come from. So improv is right up my street.
Fantastic. And Jen.
Hello, hi, I'm Jen. I'm based in Northampton. My day job is a primary school teacher. And like Sarah, I do all of the improv, or have done all of the improv. I don't think I do as much as Sarah online now, but I have a big love for improv. Yeah.
Fantastic. So we'll start by taking you back through the mists of time to the very beginning. What made you try improv for the first time? Does anybody want to go first, or am I going to have to pick on one of you?
Yeah, I don't mind, because I was just talking about mine yesterday. So it's about 7 years ago, and my friend ran a cafe. Husband was on night shift, and I was at home. It was actually my birthday, and I was bored. And she says, "Oh, someone's running a comedy workshop," and I went, "Oh." She says, "It'll be right up your street." I'd been going to see a lot of stand-up. And so I went down to her cafe, and there was Tom Young, who is the director of The Same Faces. He was running this little workshop. There was only about 3 or 4 of us there, had an absolute giggle all night. And yeah, that was it. I was hooked very, very quickly, realised that it was definitely for me. So yeah, it was like on a whim, I suppose, just trying something new. Didn't know it existed really then.
Anybody else want to?
Yeah, I was thinking about this the other day actually, because a thing came up on my Facebook memories of me driving my car, which I still have, which is a Beetle I got, and I got it just after I'd had a crash and wrote off my other car entirely, and I'd always wanted a Beetle. And I think I was going through a time in my life where I was like, I need to be more adventurous. So yeah, it was about 5 years ago, and even though like I'm a drama lecturer and I've always taught elements of improv in what I do, I genuinely didn't realise what an art form it is in its own right. And then I was looking for improv just to see what was local in Kent, and actually really the only thing that was around was Improv Gym, which is based at the Quarterhouse Theatre in Folkestone. So I started going to that, and just like Jen, got hooked really, really quickly. Within a few months, I was going to London and doing lots of really intensive training and improv residentials and going to improv festivals. I sound like a cult leader, but I got sucked in kind of super, super quickly. And I remember thinking when I first did it, I was like, I think I'm really rubbish at this, but it's so much fun, I'm just going to do it anyway. And like that was the hook for me, that idea of just kind of running at something with loads of enthusiasm and just sort of seeing what happens. And yeah, it's quite addictive, I think. Oh, and now I run Improv Gym. That's how eager I am. So
yeah. Wonderful. So you worked your way up through the improv multi-level marketing scheme at the top of that pyramid. Fantastic. How about you, Mart?
Well, for me, like I say, I run this organisation where we try and creatively facilitate for different organisations, and so a lot of that's about teamwork. And so I've always been of the opinion that play and fun and games is a really good way of trying to get a team to meld together. So I started looking at different aspects of doing that, and I'm actually a trained Lego serious play facilitator as well. But I went along to try out some improv with Emma Bird at Liverpool Comedy Improv, and just absolutely fell in love with it, because I can see that some of the elements of improv knit really well together with like Marshall Rosenberg's nonviolent communication, particularly the active listening stuff. So when you start doing that in fun ways with people, and I've run some different things for various different people, when you start doing some of these things, the active listening is incredible as a tool, and if you make it fun, it just becomes something they really want to do. And so I absolutely love it from that aspect, and then I started digging deeper and deeper, got into long form. And I mean, I went to a performing arts college, but I didn't do a performance degree. I was a sound technologist, so I worked in music production. Whereas now I'm kind of committed to performing long form and absolutely loving it. And one of the great things about everything being virtual for a little while, one of the few upsides is that I've been able to do courses across the world now with various different coaches, and that's kind of been a bonus to my own journey on this.
Yeah, absolutely. So Mart, you mentioned Emma Bird. I'd just like to ask about the improv teachers that have kind of sparked your love of improv sort of early on.
Well, yeah, obviously Emma is a big part of that. We're lucky enough to have David Escobedo just down the road here in Chester as well, and he's a mine of knowledge, connections, enthusiasm, like a little bundle of energy that I tend to feed off of him, because his enthusiasm and his energy is really sort of influential on everybody around him, which is great. It's like a virus all of its own, which is,
but in a good way.
completely positive way. So I really love him for that, and some of the discussions he leads online as well. And through doing things online, I've been having sessions with Rich Baker, Stephanie Ray, and it's been really wonderful to kind of meet some of these people from across the world. And my team have played, because I'm a member of a team as well. I've played with people from India, and it's the real positive is that it feels like the community has just all come together and started going, hello, we're doing the same thing as you. Can we do it together now? And it's a wonderful thing, that.
Yeah, brilliant. How about you, Jen?
So like I say, I started off with a short form with Tom Young, and shortly after that we started going to a residential called the British Improv Project, and through that there were it was a community cooperative thing where we would all teach. Different people would bring different sessions, so you'd have like 90-minute sessions from different teachers. So I got to know people from all around, sort of a mini version of what's happening online, I suppose, because I got to learn and meet all of the people, like the Sheffield people and people from Manchester. I met Emma there at one of those as well. So I started off sort of then investigating the idea of long form. I didn't even know that was a thing. And then took myself off down to London and trained at the nursery with Jules Munns. He taught me sort of my first foray into long form, which was terrifying yet excellent, because he's a very, very good teacher and a very knowledgeable and calm teacher. I found it quite hard to transition from sort of like short form thing into this long form, more dramatic style, but he really sort of held my hand through it. Gosh, I've met so many wonderful teachers. I've been lucky enough to be also coached by David Escobedo. He came down and did some sessions with our group. Jill Bernard is a favourite of mine. I just think she's absolutely wonderful, and she's just brings so much excitement and joy, and she just knows her stuff. I love her. And Katie Shute is another teacher that I will literally, if I see her teaching a course and I've got the money, I'm on that course. I think I've done about 3 with her. So I've done a few in real life, and then I've done about 3 in lockdown as well. Yeah, and other names mentioned as well, Stephanie Ray, and just there's just so many. Yeah, it's an absolute wealth. It's absolutely fantastic that we've been able to and every different teacher brings something different. And even though I teach a bit myself, I never stop learning. I think that's one of the things that I've loved about it, is that, you know, I never see myself as, you know, not willing to learn. I will always go and seek out a different way of doing something, a different style of doing something. So yeah, I would say those are the sort of main inspirations at this point. Yeah.
Fantastic. How about you, Sarah?
Yeah, it's so hard, this, isn't it? Because there's so many people, and you're like, if I forget to say that person, it's going to be awkward. But yeah, I feel like you take inspiration from everyone, either like people you're working with, people you're in teams or shows with, as well as coaches. And for me, like Jen, I trained a lot at the nursery, and I really enjoyed the teaching of the Maydays, and just the style of teaching and how intelligent and the pace of it, and just there's so much in there that I connect with every time. That's what I want to come back to, and I love it. I'm also a really big fan of Will Loera of Big Bang Improv, because I met him in quite early days at Slapdash International Festival, and just on the off chance, I said, I love your teaching style, I'd love to teach some of your things to my students, is that okay? And he was so generous, like sending me lesson plans. I was evaluating, we were going back and forth. Then he was like, oh, do you want to come and perform with me at Mount Improv in Greece? And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
So that kind of was something that was really supportive and really developed over some time. And I love that organic style of long form improv as well. I find that super exciting. And then just everyone I've met online, really, like I'm involved in quite a few house teams with the Global Improv Project and Improv College. And I love all the coaching that we have at Improv College with Vinnie Francois. We do lots of narrative improv, which actually is really interestingly not a thing that I had done much of before. I've got a background in playwriting, so I love stories, I love writing, and I've trained it out of myself as an improviser. Like, don't overthink, just go in and be spontaneous. And actually this has given me the option to kind of work that muscle again. And just working with people from all over the world is super exciting. People I've met at festivals, like a couple of years when it was running the Edinburgh Improv Festival, particularly Colleen Doyle. I really responded to her teaching. Patty Styles as well. I could go on and just name people because I think you can learn something from everybody, but I love teaching that's supportive as well as challenging. I think that that's kind of where I'm happiest. Fantastic.
Yeah, I think when those kind of collaborations happen, like you talked about sort of a lot of collaborations that you've had, when they kind of just happen organically, it's brilliant, isn't it? And it's I think the move online has meant that we're so much more able to work with so many different people, and like the number of like classes I've been to where it's co-delivered by people that are approaching the same subject but in different ways, but in ways that really complement each other. It's fantastic, and I just love that that's something that has come out. What do you think is gonna, this is a really difficult question, but what do you think is going to happen when we are able to meet in person again? Now, how do you think that online improv will persist in the sort of similar way to how it has been, or will there be some changes?
Well, I can only really speak of my hopes, I think. Sorry, Sarah. I can only really speak of my hopes, I think, and I kind of hope it does, because there have been so many benefits of being able to work with people across the globe and get coaching that's completely out of your usual circle. So yeah, I hope so. I hope that it continues so that we can do a mixed version of it, really.
Yeah, I mean, I think those connections, and also on a practical level, I mean, I used to spend half my life on that last train back from London with like some dodgy M&S sandwich, because I've forgotten to have dinner, back and forth from shows all the time. And you know, I even miss that, to be honest, at the moment. But I think just like I go to the Duck Duck Goose Jam, which used to be in Brixton every Monday and that is now online pretty much every week, and love it. I wouldn't be able to do that because of my teaching and all the rest of it always. But also just being able to work with people from all across the world. Like I think I've established all those connections, really wouldn't want to lose them. But then the flip side of that is like with Improv Gym, because we're local, we're based in a local theatre normally, so it's funny now, we have like a cohort of people who are super local, and then we'll have one person from the other side of the world, or you know, kind of coming in. So it's like, how do you balance that? Because actually ideally I'd like to do something quite hybrid, but I don't think we have the capacity or the resource really to do that. Yeah, so I think we'll have to kind of play it by ear a little bit.
Yeah, I'll just echo what everyone else said, really. I want to keep some of those aspects. Again, like Sarah, I don't live in London. The only scene in Northampton is the scene that I'm in, like one group. And so we haven't got that variety that maybe bigger cities do have. And just to be able to play and connect with people around the country and the globe that I would love that to stay, and I think it will stay. I think conversations that I've had with other improvisers is that in some format, it might not be every single night, there'll be something every single night, but it won't be the same people providing it to that point, because I think we're all desperate to get back to the real life bits. But wouldn't it be wonderful if we were like live streaming our live shows to audiences in different places? You know, there might be a chance to show the other sides of our legs, you know, and have those broadcast across the world. I mean, I'm looking forward to that personally. But yeah, I would really, you know, and I think it is going to stay to some extent. Yeah.
And that would be really surreal, actually, like seeing people in real life. Like Jen and I have done shows together, so we've seen each other. But like always, for some reason, I always say on scene, "Oh, by the way, I'm really tall."
It's funny you mention that, because I don't know why, I'm always a bit preoccupied with people's height. And I think it's because I have a kind of a weird like height dysmorphia type thing about myself, where in my head I'm like 5'9", but I'm not, I'm 5'3". So I'm always really fascinated by how tall people are. And that's really interesting about it.
I think it's because I'm 6'1", so I think I'm really aware that when I'm on Zoom, like my hands are just really long, so I don't want people to be like, "Oh, that woman with the long hands." I'm overthinking it, I know.
Well, I hadn't mentioned it till you said, but now it's
now
it's all
like,
I'm going to be thinking. I was just thinking about during your kind of improv journey, what has been the sort of biggest challenge that you've faced in improv? It's a tricky one.
Well, I'm sort of alluded to it at the beginning, I suppose. For me, it was that flip from the short form into the long form. That sort of, I found it difficult because I was trained sort of in a comedy style, but I really, really wanted to do the dramatic style and have a bit of both. And it just took me a little while. It wasn't a challenge that I couldn't overcome, but it was a challenge in terms of everyone else seemed to know what was going on, and I seemed to be the odd one out, and I felt very self-conscious about myself. And that's where Jules's expert teaching came in, because he actually made me feel like I wasn't doing it wrong, and that just giving me extra tips and helping me through that, which gave me my confidence. The second big challenge is just the amount of traveling I was doing, and the work-life balance at times would go a little bit squiffy. But because I loved it so much and I wanted to, I'm like a little magpie, and I just want to be involved in everything, and I have to be careful not to go for too many shiny pieces, because I will get weighed down at some point. And that it's not a challenge, because I was still enjoying it, but I just had to sometimes take a step back and look out for myself. So this sort of hiatus of getting in the car and traveling an hour every Thursday, and then another hour somewhere else, and then on the train on Saturday, there's actually been quite good just to, you know, when I do go back to in-person outside of town stuff, I will probably evaluate and decide, is it worth, or can I do something similar online? So yeah, it may well change that.
Yeah, I think that the move online has made it so much more accessible for people, just kind of across the board. That's one of the things that I hope will really be taken forward, making sure that the physical in-person improv is made as accessible as it can be.
Yeah.
This is something I think about quite a lot because I have a back condition and sometimes it can be quite bad, and I think like some improv is accidentally a little bit ableist sometimes, like so for example I can't sit on a floor really. I'm always going to need a chair, like it's just and I think like coming from a theatre background, I think we would always do a warm-up, we'd always check in if anybody's got anything we need to know about, and I think it doesn't always happen in improv. And that's not me criticizing improv because I love it to bits. But I think like actually that ability to, you know, everybody can join in online, and there's lots that I can't wait to get back to in real life improv, but actually the physical aspects of it sometimes can be quite challenging, I think, if you have any kind of condition.
I think that I think sometimes even the sort of the language around improv can be a bit ableist as well, like the idea of being front-footed and you know that everybody up on your feet and you know all of that kind of stuff, and you know, just you've got to be walking forward, you've got to, you know, all of this stuff that's about speed, physical presence, creating interesting stage pictures all the time. And it's like, well, hang on, with this has shown this, you know, us in our little boxes here has shown that you can create something as engaging, as interesting whilst sat down without having to expend lots of energy. Sorry, Matt, you're going to say something.
Stuart Moses is always good at that kind of thing, to getting people to check in and really grounding people right at the beginning so that we can share those sort of issues that we might have or any ailments that we're feeling at any one time. And I really kind of like that with his work. It's kind of got that, it's almost like a soft touch. I'm currently doing a course with him and Emma, both kind of co-presenting, and it's great to have both of them there because you've got Emma's enthusiastic, kind of energetic, bouncing around energy that she has, and Stuart's really kind of deep thought and sort of slow movement that makes it feel like it's kind of, the way I look at it is kind of like a big hug. It's big hugs that he gives you, just his words.
You feel so for Stuart. He does. I totally agree with that.
And I think that's really important, that checking in at the beginning of a session. Like I think lots of things I'm involved with, people do it every single time, and I think it's just so important that, you know, do you have any access needs, is there anything we need to know about, all of those things. And you know, I remember once I was in a real life improv class and we hadn't done it, and halfway through somebody fully jumped on my back, like straddled my back and held on to me, and I was quite new, so for some reason I just thought, I better carry the scene on, so I just carried the scene on but laid down flat on the floor, but they were still on me, and like actually that was really scary for me because you know, that could have just gone.
Oh no, that's awful. I think hopefully people will come out of this sort of a bit more wary of
maybe we'll all be like, wow, we can touch people.
We can touch. Still need to ask before you grab something. So what about you, Mart, and about your sort of any challenges that you've faced during
challenges similarly to Jen's actually, although I found the movement from short form to long form fairly easy in my head. I think going between them sometimes I get complete, it's almost like a context switching in a way, and I get kind of a bit muddled on some things, but having moved to long form, I've found it harder going back to doing short form because I want to build something, let something emerge slowly, and short form's not as forgiving for that as I'd like it to be.
It's sometimes it can be frustrating where you're like, oh, this would be a really great, like when you have like a little scene set up and you're just like, oh, this would be a really lovely long form scene. But I'm in an alphabet conversation. You know, I'm in the middle of a game, and we're going to finish when we get to Z. We can't really do much more. But yeah. Oh, but speaking of that, that has just brought something into my mind. Stephen Davidson and Velvet Wells are doing a 26 ways to play the alphabet game session soon, and I'm really so excited because it's my favorite game and I love it. So as soon as I saw it, I was like, yes, please. Definitely. What about you, Sarah? What challenges have you found in?
Yeah, I was thinking about that when you were saying it. I mean, I'm such an eager puppy. I tend to just run at everything and kind of embrace it all. I mean, I suppose before online improv, there were, you know, there wasn't a lack of young white males in improv, let's put it that way. So sometimes I'd end up in a thing where I very much felt like, hi, I'm the middle-aged woman here in your improv scene. But to be fair, like even that I would embrace. There's stuff around gender, isn't there? I think like kind of being the mum always or something like that is, you know, endowments is not super exciting to me to be endowed with cliches, but I think even that you can turn on its head and kind of have a bit of fun with. Yeah, I think that's it for me really. That's more just an observation. Yeah, maybe I've been lucky in that respect, but yeah.
Yeah, and again, I hope that now that people have seen much more improv than they've probably ever seen before in their real life, because that was one of the issues before of, you know, if you don't live somewhere where improv is happening, then you're not going to see very much improv, because it wouldn't have been, it very rarely would have been recorded or, you know, or streamed or anything like that. So hopefully now that people have seen all of the diversity of improvisers and types of scene and types of format and you know, all of the wild different endowments that you can give people, it's not just going to be like, here's my girlfriend, here's my wife, here's my mother. It's like,
and that's what's wonderful about online is the diversity, isn't it, in every respect. Actually, I think I found it a lot broader, which is just really exciting. Like different life experiences I think always make more exciting scenes.
It's a diversity, but it's also unity as well. Like when we've been doing short form games with people as far afield as India, humor is the same wherever we go. And that's one thing I've really enjoyed, is finding humor is that global language.
Absolutely. We've had some lovely comments from Sandra George and Ian Luke Jones saying they're really enjoying the chat, and what a talented bunch we've got here. I agree, definitely. So thinking about the improv landscape, what would you like to change about improv, if anything?
I feel like maybe this is just like a Kent and London based thing. I was talking with a friend about this. Maybe more once we're back in the real world, just more performance opportunity. Actually, I think that maybe there's still a bit of a lack of performance opportunity, and it can be quite niche. And I think particularly for people who don't live in London and are like, you know, coming to perform in London specifically, like you can't necessarily work your way through a whole really complex system to get on this main stage thing and blah blah. You know, like that's quite hard, I think. So yeah, I mean, there's no easy answer to that, but I think more opportunity for stage time is a big thing.
It'll be interesting to see how much that changes when we go back to the real world, because you know, and across the world with a lot of the very big improv schools completely changing, some of them closing down, you know, that kind of setup now looks a bit archaic, that sort of tiered system of like, oh, you go through this team and then this team and this team, and then maybe, just maybe, we'll let you perform for people for free. You know? Just seems a bit crazy. Hopefully people will have the confidence to kind of be self-starting and just go, I'm just going to put on an improv night.
Well, some of the things with some of the schools that are, you're saying, are looking a bit more archaic now. Some of the things with those schools seemed archaic to me anyway, because I've felt ever since coming into the improv world 4 or 5 years ago, that it's a really inclusive feeling to be in a room with people, some of whom you probably don't even know the name of yet, and you're already thrown together in a scene or a game, and you're all having fun together. It just felt like a really inclusive scene to me. So so that kind of exclusivity of putting all this sort of levels into it, that felt to me like they don't really exist, don't belong there in a way.
No, I agree. Yeah.
Always felt like a false premise.
Yeah. For me, I think I'd really like more access for children to use improv skills. I use it in class, obviously, and I have a little improv club, and I teach a little bit of children's online improv as well. But I just think it's such an amazing, I wish I'd learned to use it when I was younger. I was painfully shy, believe it or not, as a child. And I would not say boo to a goose, and I was sent off to sort of a drama club, and that really helped me. But if I'd known that improv was a thing and that it actually existed, I think it probably would have changed my life a little bit earlier than joining improv at the age of 40 something did. I'd really like improv to become more accessible to all, in terms of rehearsal spaces, in terms of age, because I do think that this online has really supported people to be able to, sorry, there's a ringing in my ear. I don't know where that's coming from. Has really supported people to be able to use their skills and access improv if they can't get out and can't use public transport and things like that. I really want that to be something that I can maybe provide in another place as well, my local area. So yeah, and more diversity in terms of where people come from, social state, people who can't maybe afford to come to improv classes, more scholarships, more ability to actually reach out to people who it will also make a big difference to in their speaking skills, people who might be needing to go for job interviews and giving them the confidence to be able to speak out loud. Just, it's got such potential for such a big range of things right from there. And I think get it in there young. And, once that's been not everyone has to do improv. I'm not sort of saying that it's for everybody, not everybody needs to do it, but I think everyone should have a chance to see if they do like it or not, and if they want to pursue it, start them off young. It'd be amazing.
Just to know it actually exists, right?
Yeah, I didn't.
I mean, that's where it all started. It started with Viola Spolin and theatre games for children, drama games for children. So it's like that's what improv is. Like it was designed for children. So, I think bringing it back around for children. And Brenna, who couldn't be with us tonight, like is doing fantastic work at, at kind of stuff for kids and stuff with puppets and just all sorts of there's all sorts of intersections, aren't there, with improv that just can be useful for so many things.
It's amazing.
So we've got about 10 minutes left. What piece of advice would you give to somebody that was just starting out with improv?
I think it's just about taking the risk. In a lot of my teaching I talk a lot about risk taking, and there's something I always quote from the May days, their teaching they talk about you having like a safety dial on your chest as an improviser and like turning it up a little bit. So it's just that feeling of it will be quite scary, but actually do it anyway and just try it, because I think it's that adrenaline that you have. That will be a first step into something exciting.
Fantastic.
I think I would say, find the joy. Notice when you're experiencing joy and seek out more of it. And my other piece of advice would be, don't be scared of musical improv. It's fun. Because we all do it. you just don't name it as musical improv. Everybody makes up songs when they're feeding the cat or whatever. We all do it. It's, you know, have a bit of fun, and yeah, just find the joy. Notice when it's giving you that joy, and hold on to that. That's my advice.
I'm glad you brought that up about musical improv, because I think you're absolutely right, and I am guilty of it as well.
Same.
Of going like, oh, I'm not a very good singer, I don't have rhythm, I can't do that. But I there's lots of elements of music that I really enjoy, and like I love things about rhyming, any silly rhyming things. So it's like, yeah, I really should go to a musical. Maybe I'll come along to your musical improv.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're exactly right on that, Jen. The amount of times that I catch myself singing the "I'm just about to put this bit of rubbish in the bin" song, or something like that, you know, and you're just making up these stupid songs just to pass the time while you're doing really inane stuff, and it does put a little bit of joy into your life of putting something in the bin. So yeah, I love that. The advice I would give would be to always be looking to widen the pool of people you're playing with as well, because I've found that over the last couple of years that I've started doing more of that, and it's become a fascinating to start pulling from all these different people, different elements and different styles, and different ideas all coming together to kind of widen my own view and my own sort of elements that I can put into what I'm doing. So
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, and it shouldn't still surprise me, but it always still does. The fact that you can step into a workshop and do a brilliant scene with a complete stranger that you've never met before, and every time I'm just like, oh, something magical just happened here. Some kind of alchemy's just happened. But it's always like that, and no matter what, I always sort of, you always still get a little sort of tinge of nerves and that nervous excitement of like, oh, I hope this is going to be okay going into this workshop or doing this show with these people that I've not worked with before. And it's always fantastic.
it's good to dare, definitely.
Yeah.
I saw that work of Brené Brown really kind of speaks to me on that level, and Susan Jeffers in her book Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. I embrace those sorts of things, because that's one of the things I find when I'm facilitating in different organizations, which I haven't done much over the last year, to be fair. But when you are, the reason people are quite reticent to get into these things is because they fear it, and as soon as they've got over that aspect of it, which improv short form games are brilliant to break the ice on those sorts of things anyway. You can just get people into telling a deep rooted story about themselves that their colleagues have never heard before, you know, and things like that, and it just becomes much more comfortable for them.
And there's a power in that, like realizing that it's okay to look silly and it's okay to play. And for, you know, people improvise all the time, that's second nature, but actually in adults generally it's not. And I think if you can give somebody a taste of that, it's just really freeing for people.
Yeah, and I think even just acknowledging that you are fearful of something, just going like, that's why I'm avoiding doing this thing, it's because it's a bit scary. But then you can start to kind of look at reframing that fear, because if you fear something, it's because you want to be good at it, you want it to go well. So it's just that you care about it. That's why you're afraid of it, is because you think, oh, I want to do well at this. So as soon as you start to kind of reframe that fear as like, oh, I'm just nervous because I want to do well at it, I want to do my best, then you can start to go like, oh, okay, well, I'll just try my hardest, and that will have to be the best, you know, that'll have to be good enough.
It makes me really think, because when Jen was saying about musical improv, and Jen knows me, so she'll know it is something I definitely avoid. And I I really respect it. It's not something that I like have a burning desire to do myself, but when I see it done, I think, wow. But I went to a class, an online class from Jay Succo, and he just did this whole exercise that was making everybody sing, and he said just embrace it. So I was thinking, I'm not going to flag up that I don't want to do it. I'm just going to go in and do it as if it's a thing I really want to do. And I did it, and I felt really proud of myself. And then after we were evaluating, he's like, how did everyone find that one? I was like, I literally felt like I had sick in my throat. But I thought, I'm just going to embrace it. And yeah, it's really powerful, because we all have those things that we know that actually we're a bit scared of, we avoid. And actually, when you kind of try to embrace them, that's really fun.
Yeah. And then every time you do it, it's a little piece of evidence for yourself that it's not going to kill you. You're just like, well, I got through it and I'm still alive, so maybe it's not as scary as I thought. You are getting lots and lots of positive comments about your musical improv, Jen. Seki and San are both saying that your course is amazing. So if you haven't checked out one of Jen's courses, then please do. Fantastic. So we've only got a few minutes left, so I will pass this over to you to plug anything that you've got coming up, any courses, any shows, anything, any groups that you're involved with. So we'll go to Sarah first.
Okay, brace yourselves, people.
Oh yeah, Sarah does everything with everybody. So all of you.
For some reason, I started keeping a notebook at the beginning of lockdown of how many things I'd done, and I'm up to 430 now.
I wish I had. Yes.
So, Jen, you're probably the same. So at the moment I'm running Improv Gym, which is at Improv Gym on Facebook, and we do weekly virtual drop-in classes on a Tuesday. I'm having a little break for Easter, but then I'll advertise the next bunch of them. They're really open, accessible, open to everybody. I'd love it if people came along to that. I also run drop-in jams every other Saturday, 11 o'clock GMT BST now time, for Improv College, who are based in Canada. They're free to come along to. Just check out at Improv College and you'll see there's a whole bunch of us running jams. I'm also part of their house team, Cat Need. And I believe you had Tristan. He's
yesterday.
Awesome. So we have shows every other week, which is super exciting. And then I'm part of the Global Improv Project. So I'm part of their house team, Close Distance. And we have a show coming up quite soon, which is people from all over the world. And we're doing a really exciting form at the moment based on Commedia dell'arte. I will stop talking in a minute. Improbotics. I'm part of Improbotics. So we are a group who does improv with AI. With lots of research scientists, virtual direction, like every time you think it can't get more experimental, it will. And actually we won an award this year at the Paris Fringe for our virtual work, which is very exciting. We've got a show coming up on the 5th of May, which is at an AI conference. So we'll start advertising that quite soon, but we do lots of super experimental things. Final thing, no, 2 more things. I'm part of Don't Mess, which came out of the World of Improv project, which is an all-female or female identifying group. And we do a form that's based on Zoom meetings going wrong, kind of. And we're currently with the Pack Theatre, who are based in LA, and we have shows every Saturday night at 10 o'clock BST on their Twitch channel. And finally, the British American Experience, which is a show I co-created with a friend, Brandon, from the Global Improv Project. It's really, really silly. So we've got a British cast and an American cast, and we basically, Brandon and I do presentations on, we'll have a subject like language, and then the casts will riff off it to do, but like the opposite cast, so I'll do a British one and the American cast will do a show based on some of the things I've said, and we do lots of games about the differences in British and American culture.
Oh, cool.
The end. Thank you. I hope you're all still alive out there.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
How about you, Jen?
So after the aforementioned musical improv course is starting on the 16th of April. That's going to be 6 till 8 on a Friday night, so you can do a bit of singing and then go out and enjoy your evening, hopefully, once those pubs open up again. So we'll be more than welcome. You don't have to be a singer and you don't have to be experienced. I will guide you through it gently, I promise. I'm also teaching kids improv this Saturday from 11 till 12:30 every fortnight with the amazing Jenna McCaffrey, we do a really fun kids hour and a half, short form games mostly. So if you have kids at home who are missing their online experience, get them on there, and it's a really lovely little community. That's through LCI. I also I'm part of Boss Birds Improv, so we perform regularly, and I'm super excited that in just a couple of weeks' time, my duo Improvoki are going to be doing the nursery's garden party with none other than our friends at Glossop Improv. So I'm really super excited. So if you want to see me do some crazy things with a Yamaha keyboard, and then because we can't use backtracks because the internet doesn't like backtracks, even if you bought them, we found. So I just get the Yamaha. No one put those algorithms into the internet because my keyboard is from 1992 or something. I think that's the main things that I've got coming up. I've probably forgotten to say something, but just look me up online and you can see all the amazing improv that I get involved with.
Brilliant, thanks, Jen. How about you, Mart?
Well, I'm not actually going to be plugging much here, to be honest. I'm the lazy one of this group. I haven't really got any shows going on at the moment because we're trying to figure out what we're doing as a team. But I'm doing a lot of courses at the moment to fill in the time. But one of the things that we do every Thursday is we put out as a team a little ridiculous little poster that we've created out onto the internet.
So good.
So look out for those. They're all completely impinging on other people's copyright, but
they're brilliant. Love those posters.
Yeah, they're
so good.
Brilliant. Oh, well, thank you all so much for joining me. It's been wonderful to talk to you all. We've had lots of lovely comments saying that it's been a fantastic conversation with lots of great insights and that you're all fabulous and talented and wonderful. So the next one of these is going to be on Friday. That's going to be Helena Zhang, Matt Iwinski, I'm not sure. Jenna Constantine Sharland and James Fennell, and it's going to be very fun. So that's at 3 p.m. on Friday, which will be lovely. And we have Glossop Improv on a Friday evening at 7 p.m. BST. So if you're interested in that, then just drop us a message and we'll send you the link and you can come and join us. Yay! But thank you all so much, lovely guests, and let's say goodbye to the internet. Bye, internet.
Bye.